What's up? I'm Sylvan, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I made this channel largely on a whim because video games, specifically Genshin Impact and other Hoyoverse games, have consumed my life, and I thought, what's the best solution to this problem? Making the problem the solution. So, with that, I thought, what's the best way to start with introducing any of you to my understanding and interests of Genshin Impact is going through all 68 character demos. Eventually I'll go through the teaser trailers and the version trailers and that kind of thing, but I felt that this would be a good starting point, as I have seen all of these at least a dozen times, including Arlecchino's, despite only being out for a few days as of recording. But I have a lot of opinions on these that I never have really been able to express to anyone because no one is obsessed with this game as much as me within my friend group. So let's just get started. I'm not going to belabor it any further. Each one I'm going to go through once without pausing, then if I have any additional things I want to say about them, I'll go through again, pausing or jumping to specific points. With the earlier ones, I'll probably have less to say, just because, well, there's less in them, let's say, and we'll go from there. I'll probably be splitting this up into a couple videos, but we'll see. Either way, let's get started. Kaeya. I feel bad for Kaeya's demo. They did him dirty.
Cavalry captain.
I mean, it was the first trailer of the game and for the characters, and it came out before the game's release, so it definitely was meant more as a promotion for the game as a whole as well. But I mean, that's like the best shot they really hit of him, and it's just a freeze frame on gameplay of him doing a charge attack or whatever that move is. I haven't used Kaeya in
Come on, let's
forever.
get moving.
Yeah, okay. Just gonna click right through it a little bit. I really like this sort of introductory thing with the elements. I sort of wish they'd continue to do that, but for the pure style of the trailers, I understand why they didn't, and I think it's for the best in general, but this is aesthetically pleasing with, like, the one element coming out and dropping into their vision. Yeah, we got Kaeya. Says his element, says that he's the cavalry captain, all that thing. You know, pretty straightforward. They continue to do this from here on out.
I'm Kaeya, cavalry captain for the
Having
Knights of
basically just
Favonius.
talking at us,
My iPad.
just
Wanna
gameplay,
hear my story, eh?
and
I know a great place more fit. for
yeah,
a
no, it's just a promotional video for the game more than anything. It shows off more of the, like, just environments than anything. His sword's wavy. It's not great. They try to show a combo or something. They hadn't realized that they wanted to do the collective miscellany separate, obviously.
Not bad.
But,
Come on,
you know,
let's get moving.
it may be a bit of a rough start, but it was just the first one. And yeah, no, there's nothing left in that. In which case, we'll go to what ended up being the first actual trailer, really, for a character. Which, unfortunately, wasn't in English, but oh well, that's fine. It's still fun, and it's an actual trailer this time. This is probably one of the ones I've seen the least, just because it's so early on. But, you know. Interesting that that's a Rosaria thing. Either way, though, yeah, no, you can tell that they love Fischl. They put so much more effort into her trailer. It's still got all of that little stuff of, like, her info. And unfortunately, a lot of it is still just straight gameplay, but between the music and just the starting, like, animation bit, you can tell they put a lot more effort into it. But then this is early demo issues of they're secretly also showing off other characters, because, I mean, yeah, it's doing its best. They haven't hit their exact flow, but you can tell that they're actually trying now. At least for this one. Yeah. Okay, and when did this come out? Yeah, this was still before the release. In which case, though, just going through it again, get a nice overhead shot of Mondstadt. This is sort of annoying to have in the corner, but, you know, it's fine. This is meant to be hyping up for the release of the game, after all. Get some banter between Oz and Fischl, you know. And she does that move. I do actually quite enjoy her music here. Yeah, get her art there. It is interesting that their first, like, proper trailer was for a 4-star stint. Regardless, it's a 4-star that clearly they put a lot of love into. I've never really gotten the exact vibe for her. I mean, I understand her character, it's not my kind of character a lot of the time. Either way, though, yeah, it's just showing off her abilities and stuff, and then it goes to this nice little, like, effect going into this. It'll be good to see that come back later down the line, but for now, we unfortunately go back to Kaeya-style stuff. We got Xiangling. It's in the same formatting as Kaeya's stuff.
My name is Xiangling. I'm a chef from Liyue.
Yeah.
There's nothing better
She's basically just introducing herself and
and
showing off the world more than anything.
But if you do go out,
I'm sorry, but these first few are going to be pretty repetitive in their nature. But, you know, I'll give this one more merit than Kaeya's, just by the nature that, like, it shows off the world a little bit better. It isn't doing hey, Kaeya's back. Why? Anyways, but it does, I'd say, a little bit better at what it's doing, even if what it's doing is so much worse than what it would eventually be able to do. Like, even the 4-star trailers get a lot better. But, unfortunately, even this early on, the 5 stars aren't exempt, at least the limited ones. I guess I skipped over doing a back check at Xiangling's, but I mean, there's not a lot there.
What comes next?
I actually, for the ones of this style, like Qiqi's. It does a good job of getting her vibe across better than a lot of the others, I feel like. Like, just the intro bit of her being like, I'm a zombie, and I forget what comes next, is very fitting, and it is very direct for just who she is. And, like, getting that just right in front of what people need to know about her from a demo, because that actually is one thing I'll sort of say now that probably I should have said at the beginning, but is with the way I'm looking at these, I'm sort of looking at it from 2 angles, which is how well does the trailer depict and express how the character is, what their vibe is, who they are as a person, that kind of thing, while the other half is just pretty much that as well, but from the standpoint of more experienced players. Like, with these early ones, it's sort of all one and the same because the game wasn't released when they were doing these, and it's designed to just introduce the characters as a whole. But once we get later, and once the game's actually into its, like, release demos and we get to the limited characters, I'll be more critical about how well I believe the trailers work for people who are new to the game, who are seeing this as, like, an ad or something, or are first trying to get into the game and looking at this, the kind of thing that most reactors are doing, as well as how well it portrays the character from the perspective of somebody who knows the character. Anyways, though, I'm not really going to worry about going through Qiqi's again. I think I said everything I wanted to already about her. Now we're on to Mona, which, I mean, come on, it's Mona. They know what they're doing. with
Meaning the great
this trailer's like angles and stuff already.
The equipment repair bill is due, and so is
I feel like with Qiqi in this one, they begin to focus more on the character than anything.
To rid themselves of material
I forgot about that angle.
but
you know, I feel like this is where we can begin to see the turn in what it's doing. It still is using mostly gameplay and just shots of the worlds, but it's beginning to show off more of the characters themselves rather than just the world and stuff. They actually have a character with a cinematic, like, burst, so they're able to do more with that. It's fun. It's one of the better ones of this style. Not really much more for me to say about it, other than, I mean, it's Mona. Yeah, Keqing, what was that pronunciation? Keqing, yeah. I'm terrible at the Chinese pronunciations. Apologies.
Let's go. We live in an era of change, as the old order that has existed for 1,000 years is about to be rewritten.
I think this gets across her pretty well as well.
Let us bear witness to this historical moment together.
It's nothing special though. I like her splash though. It doesn't linger on it long though.
Incoming. Speed of light.
They're beginning to have more fun with the music.
Hey.
It's nice.
With sword comes shadow.
They're not showing off other characters randomly.
When your heart is set on something, you get closer to
they
your goal
figured out
each
what they want to do
day.
with the last three, I'd say. For the general style, they just still are in the old format. But then we get into the actual trailers, the ones where they actually know what they're doing. It has the Japanese one here, but because I've been doing the English ones before, I'm going to just jump all the way to here, because this is the English Venti one. I know this entire playlist pretty well.
That of which is
First one with actual, like, cinematic animation stuff since Fischl's, and it's going to have, you know,
that of which beheld lands undone, seas spun.
Works real well. It gives the bard angle. And this is where I can begin to dig into some more things. I'll save some of it for another go-through, but it does a good job of showing his bard angle here. Shows how fucking carefree he is, just casually flying to avoid an attack. And, you know, now the music is actually being a thing that is more in tune with the trailer. Giving more dramatic, like, edited shots, showing off the character more. Still mainly just using gameplay, but it's, you know, they're having more fun with the editing.
Some notes can't be played for just
have little lines like that. I'll look at that back once we do a second run through.
Let the high winds blow you away.
Yeah. One thing I did notice on some past look-throughs of these is some of these early ones, like this one and we'll see in Childe as well, have these sort of long moments where they just sort of linger on the character with like a pattern or something in the background. For this one, it's just like his ring being formed. Here we can see sort of the remnants of characters being in the same trailer as the actual respective character, but it, you know, not being for any real narrative reason, just for mechanic show-off. Yeah, so
an archaic tale to be
going back through, just sort of skipping through, you know, doing his barding, getting introduced to a Batui person, and they're still doing these. Works. They've continued to do it for all of them. There's some gameplay here, some posing. This is what I wanted to look at.
Can't be played for
yeah, full of mystery, born from the branches of time, a history of glory and sorrow, and witness to the divine. Little bit of rhyming, fits with him, but also hints towards the other elements of him. Because really this trailer does not acknowledge that he's a god. It completely just focuses on the bard angle and his mastery of the wind, but that line sort of just hints to it. It's only there for a moment, and of course it mentions time, and we need a act to for Venti story quests. This is the thing I was talking about earlier, just sort of the posing with the thing in the back. But yeah, it's interesting. I like that they go for that angle, because for these trailers, they really, in my opinion, they really shouldn't be, like, spoiling what the secrets of the character are, if there are. Admittedly, in the case of Venti, it's not really much of a secret, because you learn, like, in the first hour or two of play. But regardless, it's still nice that they don't just shout in your face in the trailer, this dude's a god, because, you know, people might not have played the game, and it's a nice little thing in the prologue, be like, are they really a god? Are they just sort of a pretentious bard who either thinks they are or is just fucking with us? But either way, it's not that big a deal in his case. Anyways, moving on to Klee's demo. This is the first one where you can really see things go up, because it has all this. You know, we can go through these afterwards, but, you know, strongest fire of Mondstadt must be Fate's chosen, and then it's just little kid. It's a great introduction. This is the beginning of trailers, like, really hammering in the vibe of the character. The music's on point, the introduction is chaotic and fun, and there's just so many of these fun shots of, like, it is just gameplay, but it's to good effect because she has a cute little animation for running.
Klee, you know the consequences.
This is a fun reference to solitary confinement. It doesn't really translate well from what I've seen for people who don't know anything about Klee, but, you know, it's not that big a deal. It's just sort of a fun pause moment in the trailer, and it's fine. And then this is just one of the best parts of the trailer. It just doing the best of what just showing gameplay can be, in my opinion, for these characters, of just walking as utter chaos is happening behind her, running and playing, and her just joy-filled smile as things explode. It's exactly what Klee is. It's great. Doesn't make reference to Alice or anything, but that's fine, because, I mean, Klee is not Alice. She's her own character, even if she has wacky lore stuff. Yeah, so actually, sorry, let me go through these more, stop yapping. Yeah, so going through this better now. Yeah, the legendary girl in red, in the Stormbearer Mountains, Jumpty Dumpty Boom Bang. Okay, sorry, no, to go through these properly, I really need to slow it down. Yeah, legendary girl in red, in the Stormbearer Mountains, Jumpty Dumpty Boom Bang Fun, Uncontainable, Sunlight, You Know the Consequences, Bunny Girl in Red, Solitary Confinement, In the Way, yeah, okay, I was getting a little lost there. Solitary Confinement, it's way worth it. The fish tastes so good. And then just all of these things. The strongest fire in Mondstadt. Tornado, well, maybe. Noelle, the confinement room. Should be stronger. I'd rather pick Master, Diluc, the Blessed, Princess, the Torrent of Judgment. Just all kinds of random things to confuse you. This is great. Lupusol, this must be Fate's Chosen. It's chaotic, it's fun, it's energetic. It hypes up someone a lot more dramatic than they are, while also not betraying what her vibe is. It's just great. I love it. And then you get the reveal of it just being a little kid. Shows that she's a little troublemaker. We get a bit of an Aether cameo. And then we get some gameplay, fun running. And then we get running into Jean, you know, set up from before, even if they didn't pick up on it, whoever's watching. This is solitary confinement. Got the timer to show that she's there for, like, hours. And then she just goes straight back out to what she's doing. She does not care. It's great. But that's sort of the main thing of it. Once again, Great little shots here. Didn't pick it up for a long time, but Jean's sort of there protecting her. It's great. And yeah, blows up the rest of them, and that's them. Asks if we want to go fish blasting.
Let's go fish blasting together.
It's fun. But that's enough on Klee, I think. Moving on to Diona. Back to the old style. They'll continue to use this for a little bit. But, it's fun. It's fun. And they start to do better from here on with them. It's the format, but in the new style, I'd say.
My ears and tail are no prop, they're real.
I never have really been the biggest fan of Diona. I use her because she's like a good cryo healer, all things considered, and I don't really have a lot of other healers. I don't really pull for a lot of healers.
So unless something is urgent, don't bother me.
But, I feel like they just sort of lean in on the cat stuff a little bit too hard on Diona. I feel like what they do for Carrara is a lot better for like the level they lean into it. She's very clearly a cat, but she doesn't just have cat everything.
I just happen to be resting.
And also just her personality isn't like my favorite or anything, but And she's a bartender. The child bartender, it's a vibe of sorts, but I'm not really a big fan of it, and I feel like her outfit doesn't really... It's not the best, in my opinion. She's a fine character, not for me. And she never really, I feel like, goes beyond what she's in this trailer, so on that front, the trailer does a good job of showing her character. I will admit that. She's a little feisty. She's a bartender who doesn't like alcohol.
Life as an mixologist is very busy.
It's...
When I'm not at the tavern, I'm out collecting ingredients
it does
for new
well.
recipes, so...
It does what it's trying to do,
urgent,
even if I'm not, like, crazy about it. And...
Think you can bully me?
Yeah. I'd say the main thing it doesn't show is, like... It doesn't do a ton to show her distaste for the wine industry, but that's fine. Her personality shows through for this one, so it works. But now we get on to a personal favorite character of mine.
Dear sister,
the first character I pulled
so
for didn't get him on his first banner, but oh well. Starts well, has him addressing his sister,
life is ordinary and boring.
Tells us a little bit about him.
Though in Liyue, fuses of excitement can be found
He's
everywhere.
Sort of a
Just
adrenaline
waiting for the
junkie
right spark.
you can get from this, which, of course, he's a bit more than that, but, fun shot of him surfing down a waterfall. First of the Harbingers. Not first of the Harbingers, as in the ranking, but first in ability to see.
Come at me!
I feel like they do a good job of showing off his fighting style here.
Not much of an adversary, but enough for a sideshow,
it doesn't,
I guess.
like, really do much to, like, emphasize that it's a stance change, but it's still pretty clear, in my opinion. This is the kind of shot I was talking about from the Venti one.
You wouldn't charge into unknown danger.
It's sort of just, like, posing in front of the constellation. There's nothing really wrong with it. It just, I feel like it sort of breaks up the pacing,
care of some trivial
but
matters here, really.
it's fine. And then I like the ending here. It brings it back to talking about Tonya, and
the future that Tsaritsa desires.
sort of shows that
the people
there's
of
more to him
Shanshaya
than
desire.
just the
It
like
will be
action
had.
and drama and stuff, and that he's working on a mission more than just anything. So I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Sister.
Not a ton to go through.
I've been away
but,
for so long. I've
I mean,
almost
that's sort of
forgotten
fitting
the
for
cold
Child.
You know, I
See
grow
him sort of
restless
in
when
this
life is
contemplative
ordinary
moment.
and
He
boring.
does have his contemplative moments, which
Though
is
in Liyue,
interesting to consider.
fuses of
But
excitement can be found everywhere.
he's
Just waiting for the right spark.
it's pretty much just everything I said. Pretty good trailer. It will be pretty quickly outpaced in quality, unfortunately, which is very sad for me because I love the Child. But my boy has like 3 names. He doesn't need the best
Come at
trailer.
me.
It's fine. So yeah. There's one thing I will actually mention is there's the fun little referencing here of they put him in his boss arena. I like that. It teases some stuff with the story with just showing off this area while also being sort of subtly noting that he's the boss, even if that's not like the explicit intent. It's a fun lineup. And then, you know, it just has him fighting a bit more, it has the pose and it shows the burst.
Charge into unknown danger. Won't hold
both
back.
versions of it. And then
Your brother
shows
has just been
the
taking
letter
care
he
of
was
some
writing.
trivial matters here, really.
It's nice. And I like
Future
the
that
end
Sarita
bit
desires.
here
The
of
future the people
the
of
leaf
Snezhnaya desire.
turning to
It will be
frost.
had.
Oh, never mind. I am thinking of an entirely different trailer. It doesn't turn to frost. That's a different trailer. My bad. I've seen so many of these. In which case, though, let's move on to Xinyan, who... I'm sorry, Xinyan. You're not a good character.
Xinyan's the name and rock and roll the game.
Why does she have that accent? She's from fantasy China. Why is she Southern?
What say you sign me up for your world tour? Anywhere's good.
And also just I mean, like, her character itself is fine, but
Almost about to go live over here.
I've never been interested in her as a character, really. And her hair's a bit weird to me, but you know, it's fine. More just not my style than actually bad or anything. And for some reason, there's a lot of child here. Not child. I'm mixing my things up, sorry. A lot of the traveler here. It's sort of a weirdly persistent thing that some 4 stars will that are like sort of underwhelming, in my opinion at least, will for some reason have a lot of the traveler mixed in there. Like, I don't really get it, but I mean, I guess they want to show off how their abilities interact with other characters, like in this case with the shields, but you know, it just doesn't work for me most of the time. Either way, jumping back to here, I do like this shot. I think it's fun, showing her just like as a performer. It's great. That's my favorite part of the trailer, but overall, it's sort of just underwhelming to me. But now we go to what many people consider the best trailer, just in general. I personally dispute that it's the best, but for its time, it is objectively the best. And for a while, it was.
Rex Lapis mustered his
does great for just introducing Zhongli from a newer player perspective. It does a good job of showing him as sort of that quiet, contemplative type. This is just a great splash art. They did great with it. The music hits. It's good. Have dragon imagery in the back. I'll talk more about that through the next go around. Once again, we're still mostly on gameplay, but they do very well here. Like, this shot is great. It may just be gameplay, but him just standing there, unperturbed, is perfect. And that shot is great. This is really when their style like amps up. They have the shift to this shot.
The common folk suffer.
With those lines, it clearly shows that he's someone special, but doesn't really say how. Clearly not a common person, as would be implied by his statement, but, you know. And then he calls a meteor and petrifies everything. I sort of wish this is how long his thing lasted, but it's fine. It's for the aesthetic of the trailer more than anything. And then they just have this great shot, and they give the pose, comes into a different aspect ratio to silhouette him, and then brings it back to here.
Contract in Liyue.
Acknowledges his knowledge of history and an ominous acknowledgement of the future.
Has been set in stone.
Now, that's sort of just the simple look at it from a outside perspective, not really knowing who he is. Going back with it, though, knowing, spoilers in case you're watching this without playing the game, if you go through this knowing that Zhongli is the Geo Archon, it's very funny to think that he's just listening to someone tell a story about him, probably judging how accurate it is.
But
like, not worrying
they
about
say
correcting them.
That before he set out,
Literally
he
just
spoke
listening to
these
people
words.
hype him up. It's great. Yeah, and his description doesn't even sort of reveal it, but there's a lot more imagery in this one, like the dragons in the background, tying him to the Exuvia. And like the Venti one, it does not ever say specifically that he is the Geo Archon, but there's a lot more here to hint towards it if you know what you're looking for, which is sort of perfect in my mind. It's the right mix of sort of Easter eggs towards it,
I wish not for dominion,
while not just throwing
yet I
it in your
cannot watch
face
the
and making
common
it be
folk suffer.
obvious. Like, when actually playing, it was pretty clear that it was him, given that he was like one of the only Geo characters who it could be. But either way, the trailer does a good job of hinting towards it without like anything else. The rest of the trailer is just cool. It's mostly style with some good allusion to things, and that's just a fun shot.
to cleanse the land.
And then
defend
his
our
final
safe harbor.
line, in the context of
That
him
was the
being
first
the
contract on
Archon,
Liyue.
it's him referencing
And
his
now,
first contract
final
as he
contract,
goes
too,
into
has been set in
sealing
stone.
his final contract and ending his time as the Geo Archon. It's great. I love it. Now, we go to Albedo's trailer. This one gets slept on by a lot of people. I like this one quite a bit. It's mainly for one specific bit. This opener I like, but it is fairly confusing to people who haven't seen it in my experience. But it works. And then we get these fun shots of everything morphing into each other, and then going to him. It works great for just sort of an opening in my mind for him to being the more quiet, contemplative type. His music is interesting. I enjoy it, but it's an interesting choice for him, I'd say.
Burst forth.
But either way, it works. Shows off his abilities here, you know. It's not like the craziest thing in the world, but they haven't reached their peak anyways, so I'll let it pass. And then I just love this because it references, you know, their connection. It implies that they
Moments of birth.
are connected in some way, even if it's not clear. And now, this is my favorite part of the trailer. It is really, in my opinion, the first time that they really just say, fuck it, we're going crazy with the, like, imagery. And there's a lot I'm going to break down on it on a second go through.
The origin of alchemy.
But
The basis of
at its
all
core, it
life.
just shows the, like, cool,
Shock.
mysterious nature to him.
Substance.
And, like,
Primal life.
sort of visually shows his, like, alchemist stuff. And then goes into him showing off his ulti. It's fun. And then I like this shot. It's slow, dramatic, pulls up, helping Klee up so that she can do the finishing blow, but of course Klee causes issues. It's great for both of their characters. His reaction is very fitting. But yeah, so going back through it, this time, you know, thinking about him more specifically, utter roast to Timaeus. Poor Timaeus, he deserves better. But, I mean, you know, can't help that he's not as good as Sucrose and Albedo. His little intro doesn't really reveal any of his more secret things. This first bit is just sort of him doing his thing. Not really a ton to show off there. Being like a sibling to Klee, it's nice that Klee gets a cameo in the trailer. It's like the first real example, I'd say. Well, no, it's the second example, I'd say, of like a character being in another character's trailer and it like actually making sense in my mind. The other one being Jean in Klee's trailer. And then there's this, which, to break it down more closely, this shot I really like because, intentionally or otherwise, it always makes me think of all the stuff with the world being upside down, the stars being fake, all of the, like, mysterious, like, falsification of the world, which, even if Albedo doesn't explicitly have to do with that part of things, his nature and connections to a lot of the deep lore of the game, I think, makes this a great shot with connection to him. And it's just also just a visually good shot anyways. And then him floating, but it looking like he's on, like, lying on the earth.
Soil.
Then there's this.
The origin of alchemy.
Just a visual showing of alchemy, like I said. And then reference to chalk, the substance from which primal life is molded. Literally just saying, hey, primal life was molded by chalk. If you know anything about him, he's made of chalk. He is primal life. It's a great little reference again. And there, I want to grab that exact shot, because it's one of my other favorite shots. From soil was birthed chalk, and then it has two Albedos. One with their eyes closed, one with their eyes open. Whether or not they had planned for this, I love this shot retroactively with the stuff with the pseudo-Albedo from the one Dragonspine event. That was, like, that's a great thing that if this was intentional, a reference to before we had any clue that it would be the case. And if it's retroactive, that's great. They made it work. And it retroactively is cool. Either way, I love it. Like I said, it's far from one of the best trailers, but I feel like a lot of people sleep on Albedo's trailer. It does a lot of what it wants to do really well, in my opinion. It just doesn't necessarily have as many, like, super showy moments. It's really that main little clip near the end. But now, we go to Ganyu. And, I mean, I love Ganyu as much as the next guy. It's Ganyu. But, I feel like her trailer isn't the best. And I'll get into why. So, you know, we have her sleeping here. Go into her head. Doesn't explicitly say it's a dream, but it's a good, like, inference you can make once you know that it is later. She's talking about a sweet flower for whatever reason. I mean, it works for her, like, introducing her sort of contemplative nature and then her not wanting people to trample the flowers. It works. Most of my misgivings with this trailer are not because it is actually bad or anything. For whatever reason, I just don't vibe with it as much. It shows off her abilities. Honestly, I think part of it is an issue I have with a lot of the early trailers of they just haven't, in my opinion, found exactly the right pacing. This is the beginning of Qiqi's excessive amount of cameos in other people's trailers. And, you know, the dreaming thing I think works for what it does of, you know, expressing that she's really fucking tired, but I feel like the little end bit at the end of the trailer does a better job of that. Like, I don't think it would be necessarily a good thing to remove the dream element, but I don't think it necessarily does a ton. And yeah, I feel like that's part of it is the trailer. This is the best part of the trailer, because though everything else gives us an idea of her personality, it doesn't give us any context to it. She's, as far as this trailer is concerned, she is a girl with horns who sleeps in open fields and talks about flowers and dreams. It does not imply any connections to anything else, which, I mean, fine. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to give us everything about the character. I even was expressing in some of the others why it's good that they weren't just shouting in our face everything. But in this case, I feel like it could have been better to express her connections to Liyue a little bit more, and potentially as well her connections to the Adeptus, because, I mean, the most we get is her level 1, and that's there for like a second. So, you know, I understand why people like the trailer, and I understand that Ganyu simps will be simping, and I will not get in the way of that, but, you know, fine. I do like that shot of the, like, she's about to get hit and she wakes up. It's a very classic thing for dreams, you know. But, you know, I think I've said what I want to say. I won't belabor it more. And yeah, beyond that, really, this one shot is great. She's dozing off, and then she wakes up, and she's sort of embarrassed by that. It's nice. It's a good plot. Now to Xiao. I'm a big Xiao fan. I love him. Great. He's my edgy little boy who needs to be taken care of. And his trailer gets across all of his edginess. It's great.
Stay out of my way.
Has the great sort of cold open with him standing there, and now we get into the sort of fighting. This is the first trailer I'd say that begins to blend the editing and the gameplay enough that it isn't immediately clear how his gameplay is. Like, there's still enough here to gather how he plays. It's just sort of surprising to me that they don't show off his burst as much, or at least as clearly. Either way, I still love this trailer, because, I mean, he's edgy. I love him. He's my baby boy. And, yeah, this is just your edge. This is the shot that makes everyone go, oh shit. There may be characters who have suffered similar amounts as him, but, and that's debatable, but he's easily the edgiest. There's no doubt. And this is really the only thing of his ult we get. I've seen people react to this and not realize that he was in the air there, and that is sort of crazy to me, but I will admit they could do better to show it off. But this bit, I love this as, like, you think the trailer might be over, but then they have this linger shot as it fades to nothing but the mask, and the eyes in particular. It does a great job of showing his nature as, like, an ominous yaksha. But that's pretty much everything I have to say about that, so I'm going to just jump straight into who tabs.
Hey, you sure we're
This is
going
the first
right
one
way?
that really has, like,
Treasure in this creepy place.
a real cold open, I'd say.
Treasure maps bow ours.
It's got this little thing of two treasure hoarders, you know.
Wait. Did you just hear
Just, you know,
something?
have the one who's freaked out, the other one who's
Just
fine.
imagining things.
And then there's the cute little ghost. And the moment, and then there she is. And she has some great music as well.
Do something!
This trailer is, of the early ones, I think one of my favorite for showing off the vibe of the character through the editing.
Order of
Like,
duality, impermanence
having
of
her
fate.
be as playful as she is,
Butterfly to guide thee.
to the point that she's, like,
Yeah,
mixed
so
into
many
the
drunk
editing as
people.
much as she is. I might not be
Not
making
even
sense,
worth
but
the
I love it.
Guess I'll need to send you off myself.
And then there's, like, that little bit there to express her more serious side. And then we get our next Qiqi,
Zombie.
Venti.
Scared?
But it's fitting for Hu Tao, you know. She's got these great little pause moments. She scares off the Fatui, doesn't even bother chasing them, just sort of waves them goodbye as she
you on the other
ominously
side?
says, "See you on the other side." It's fun. I love it. And then the first, like, fourth wall break thing from
See you on the other side?
the end screen. It's fun.
Hey,
I like this one. I don't return to it nearly as much as others,
Treasure maps bow.
but regardless,
Wait.
it is a great one. You see her just a little bit there, and then there's that, and she has great splash art.
quick, do something!
It just does such a good job of showing her off, I'd say. It has her playfulness, her capability to be such a prankster, and then has that little shot, which I want to go back to. Yeah, it just has her little song here, which is just a fun little text blurb. It's a
Order
nice
of
transition.
duality, impermanence of fate.
It's one of those trailers that there's, like,
Butterfly to
not
guide thee.
really a ton to
Yeah, so many drunk
break
people.
down, necessarily,
Fatui,
but
not even
it
worth
does
the
such a good
tears.
job at what it's trying to do,
Guess I'll
and it
need to
shows off
send you
her
off
character
myself.
really. And it's the right amount of showing the character while not really telling us who she is. Because I feel like in the case of Hu Tao, she's defined by her personality more than anything. Where with someone like Ganyu, I feel like she is much more dependent on her position in the world, and we don't really get that from Ganyu. But I'll stop ragging on Ganyu. I don't want the Ganyu Sims to fucking kill me, so we'll just move on to Rosaria. One of the last, I believe, of this format of 4-star demo.
Me?
But let's face it,
I'm just another ordinary
Rosaria,
person.
she's great.
Church, work.
Just like
I just do
Mona,
what I have to do.
she
Each of
was
the sisters is worse than
too
me.
much for China,
It's
and
not
they
about
needed
prayer,
to
then it's about choir or
debuff
some other
her
thing I'm
and
supposed
give
to
her new
participate
outfits.
in. I'm trying
Millie,
to stay out of sight.
her other outfit's pretty
Pray.
good.
Not for the
I personally
gods
like her
nor the
original
betterment
outfit.
of others, but for yourself.
And that line is great. It really sort of expresses her, like, opinion on the church, I feel like. But this is a 4-star early trailer, so though it has its good moments, it still doesn't get into things too crazily. And then that shot is just
Everything is negotiable except over time.
it's for the people, let's just say. Yeah, so there isn't a ton to go through with this trailer. It does what it wants to do, and it does it well. It shows her off.
I'm just
She claims to be an ordinary person, yeah, sure. Shows her ambivalence towards the church. Shows her ambivalence towards the gods. While sort of referencing how she's gonna fucking kill you. It's good. It's good. It's one of the better 4-star trailers of the original format. Like, that's one of the better shots from a 4-star trailer. And then we move on to Yanfei, who, though she's using this formatting still, there's, in the actual trailer itself, you can tell a lot different. Like, with all of these shots and transitions, you can tell they're sort of... They're trying more with the editing and composition
Only by adhering to the law can the people
also
solve
just in
life's
general.
myriad of problems.
I personally am not the greatest fan of Yanfei. She's just sort of a meh character for me, largely. Like, she's a lawyer, she has some fun lore, but she definitely is more of a villain character for me. I like her outfit. I'm not one of the ones who thinks her outfit is bad. It definitely isn't a lawyer outfit, but it looks good. I like it.
My point is, you can always rely on me.
You know, not really anything much more than that I care about talking about her much. And then get to Eula. Another one of the big ones that people love. It immediately goes into her dance. It's great. Really shows her off in every way that can be said. I mean, like, fucking, what would that shot be if anything but showing her off? I mean, let's face it. Once again, this is another case of, if I was more critical of Eula, I'd be fearful for her Sims coming after me, but outside of her gameplay, unfortunately, being ruined by being the only physical DPS, really, she's just great. I love her. I tried pulling for her on her original banner, but never got her. And then after that, just accepted that she wasn't great, and sort of never worried about pulling for her, because there were too many other characters I wanted. There's a lot of text here, it goes by too fast to really read without pausing, so I'll go back to that. Does a good job, once again. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot here. MiHoYo does a great job with all of these, like, honestly, even the early ones are fine. It's just compared to what they end up being. But yeah, no, this is one that they don't worry to really tell us too much about who she is specifically, but it does everything to show us who she is.
No, I was just
if you understand what I mean. And then we get a little reference to her friendship with Amber. Little Yuri tease there as well. It's fun. I like it. So I'm gonna go through. She has her dance. I'm gonna be blasphemous and skip through it. we get the shot here with her little blurb. And then eventually it goes on. Didn't mention it earlier, but it's nice as sort of a reference to her style of dance, and it's clearly implied how she's implemented it into her fighting by constantly cutting between her dancing and fighting, with all the motions going together. Then we get to this little bit. The glacial seal, once a symbol of Lauren's pride, now recast by a rebellious heir into the sword of their nemesis. And then, all to sever ties with a legacy of tyranny. This is what we get to much more explicitly show her ties to Mondstadt and its history, alongside her little intro blurb. I've been not really going over the intro blurbs, but I feel like for anyone who knows the characters, they're not really necessary to go over, and I cover a lot of what they do in just my talking about this. But who knows? For some of the others, I might start looking at them. Either way, that's the main thing I wanted to look at within her trailer.
I alone must
there is also that reference to Descendant of a Fallen Ancestry. This trailer does a great job, in my opinion, of giving us just enough to be curious, but not telling us it's amazing. It's fun. I like it. But that's sort of all of it for here.
Rack and ruin.
Just sort of gonna jump ahead.
It's
It's a great moment here. I don't understand why Amber would think that she's in trouble, but it's cute. It shows their friendship. It's nice. And depending on who you ask, friendship. Well, alright, I'm gonna cut things off there for now. I originally wanted to make this all one big video, but for a variety of reasons I'm needing to cut it up a little bit, but don't worry, I'm gonna try to get all of the parts to you as quickly as possible. And I hope you have a good day. Subscribe and like if you want. Don't if you don't want. I don't control you. You can do your own thing. And I hope you all have a great day.